Could you be on time once in a while?
What'd you say?
And can you be on time once in a while too? Okay. Here we go. Right here. You may have seen it, but I love that what you said was so when this comedian said that, I was like, that's so real. Mhm.
Well, as it turns out, I'm not actually allowed to play you the joke. So there's a copyright issue. So head over to YouTube, check out the joke, and then come on back and catch up on the conversation. All right? See you in a bit. Oh my God, that is what I was saying. Like, we don't
Yes,
think big enough, huh? It's like, I don't know
right,
what we thinking about.
right. I
Definitely
mean, we're not-
about we definitely not thinking about the good stuff. We thinking small time. We just, oh my God.
so small. We don't even know, but that's also it's the concept is like, you know, there's I believe that there's behaviors that you can't necessarily blame on the person if all they ever know is that behavior. A lot of people out here cannot think off of the block. They've never left the block. They don't know what is out there. They're fighting beef that their dad had, that their uncles had. That's the only thing they know. And I
Well,
think
you
a
know
lot of it's
what?
on purpose.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to co-sign on that because I grew up in Compton until I was about 8 years old. And my mom, this is one of the things I think Alfred for my stepdad, the most of everything that he ever did was he took us out the hood. And like when we
Maybe
left
different versions.
Compton, I was just like, it was just so different. I couldn't understand that concept of having my own room. And I had my own room. We had a fireplace. And mind you, we were modest. It was a modest house, right? It wasn't like
Right.
we were rich or anything like that. But to
Right.
like our cousins and stuff, it was like, dang, you guys are rich in Pomona and shit, like, right?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it
when my
was
nieces and nephews would come, because we moved out, like we left Oakland, and all of my sisters and my girls, all of them, I'm back here now, and all of them are on heroin, and all of them are on the streets, and I
yeah.
can't believe it. Like
And then
it's
on
so
top of that, he put us in a school. He didn't keep like Pomona. He put us in an even better school system. And so that was even, we saw even more. I mean, the idea
that's
that
the
a kid could get a Porsche for their 16th birthday, like who
who
in the
thinks like
hood
that. You don't know to think like that. You don't know that that's a possibility.
you
That's
don't
even
know these houses even exist, these places,
right.
these roads. You got
Right.
no idea. So that's one of the most important things I think is like we gotta get like I don't know how we can do this, but you gotta be able to see it because if you can't see it, you just don't even know it's even possible.
Well, that's the thing with I actually, speaking of Compton, I was doing a climate awareness video before. That word bothers me because it's not climate as much as it is pollution, and these huge cities poisoning us. But I was doing that, and I was putting together an album and reaching out to artists that I just worked with on projects, that were working on activist projects like for Mike Brown and Trayvon, stuff like that. And they could not wrap their heads around the climate because it was global. And a lot of these people and these artists still are they're trying to survive a day in their own neighborhoods. They're not thinking globally. They don't even, all of this talk about sustainability and carbon footprints and all that stuff means literally nothing to them. They just had to move their grandma from the cancer cluster caused by Shell in South Central. So
I
fixed.
think I think that's most Americans. I think the ones that are most worried about climate or yeah, climate are the ones that can afford to be.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. And
I
they're buying organic foods, and they're still able. When I go on Google Earth and I look at the neighborhoods all
but I'm
around us.
confused how we got to how do we get to organic? I mean, how do we where
Oh, I'm just saying what's available outside of your own neighborhood is
okay.
exists, like, I mean, I'm looking, and they have their own farms still, like, whereas a lot of the bigger farms are getting shut down. These people buy houses and they have acres of farmland that they're growing their own food on, and it's
Who? Who
yeah.
people?
Oh, I
What
said
people?
in the neighborhoods around when I go on Google Earth, like the upper
Oh,
class neighborhoods.
okay.
Yeah, it's a trip because you see them disappearing in the like middle, like when you drive, like say in between Oakland and LA.
Yeah.
Like all those farmlands they're different now. There's a lot of so much corn is gone. Like there's so much, but then when you go and you look, from a bird's eye view in some of these richer neighborhoods, they all have their own farms, and they're growing their own foods, and they can afford to shop where they're, where it's just it's
Okay.
interesting.
Well, I mean, I've seen what
I
you're
mean,
talking about.
yeah,
I don't know enough about it to know who's doing it and where or anything like that, but I have seen what you're talking about. And I think that if like yeah, in poor communities, that's the easiest way for them to start raising themselves economically is just everybody start growing a different crop in their in the hood. Everybody
exactly.
start growing
Yeah,
something different. And that's it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Everybody's gonna have something
love
different,
it. I love it.
you
I
know?
love the community gardens when they do pop up, and there's always like a bunch of city stuff they have to go through to even make it happen. A lot of people don't know it's actually easier than you would think it is,
It's so easy. I mean, most stuff you could just put it in dirt and put some
Exactly.
water on
There's stuff I have so much like
it.
my potatoes, they grow so
Oh,
fast
thank
and easy.
you.
A lot of the fruits and vegetables that we buy right now come with no seeds, and that is like,
Well, yeah, like that meme. If they can make fruit seedless, they can make you seedless.
and
Mm.
how
You shouldn't be
exactly.
consuming that DNA, that seedless DNA. You shouldn't even be
Yeah, what's
consuming.
crazy is they'll sell organic seedless watermelons. I'm like, no, it's not organic. If it's
Yeah.
seedless, it's not organic. Unless you guys change the definition, that happens too.
I had something on how they. Oh man, let me see if I can find it. If I can't find it real quick, I'm not going. But
Mhm.
You ever wonder how they're able to grow a seedless watermelon without a seed? Spoiler alert, they don't. Watermelons are a lot like humans. We're both diploids, and all that means is we have 2 sets of chromosomes. But scientists discovered that adding colchicine, a drug that treats gout, turned this diploid into a tetraploid. By breeding a male diploid with a female tetraploid, they're able to end up with a triploid, and this odd set of chromosomes will result in the fruit being sterile and not producing any seed.
that's it.
That's yeah.
That's all.
Uh,
That's a quickie.
It's awesome. Um, Dr. Sebi, I think it was on his site. He had just all of the fruits and vegetables that were in their former state, before they were genetically modified. We have
Well, a
nothing
lot of them were so much smaller. Pineapples were smaller.
smaller.
Potatoes are
Um,
smaller.
Potatoes look like roses, he said. They grew in water. And then bananas had seeds. Of course, they were more like plantains. We don't have anything that hasn't been genetically modified. And I'm not 1,000% against it. Like I said, you can take
Well,
something and do
listen,
really, really good with it and really, really bad with it,
yeah, well, I'm all for it. I like how you could grow for example, a red rose and a white rose and make a pink rose. But that's
Right.
not doing anything. That's letting nature do its thing and just putting the
Hmm.
right things together and
You're
let nature
basically
do
just
things on its
doing
own.
what bees do. Yeah.
Right. I'm not necessarily for altering it necessarily, unless what you do makes it better.
Right. The thing is that's really bad is that they're making plants grow as their own pesticides, and that is not good because if it kills all these bugs that are put here to help the harmonious nature of this realm,
Right.
then
You
they need
can't
to
just disrupt something. You can't just cut out something out of the circle of
I feel
existence.
like that's why we have like roaches and stuff and fleas, like because they did something. Like I really do. Because why are they
Really?
here? I've That's just a personal thought that I've had. Like, why would we have flies? Because they
Well,
did some shit.
yeah,
They-
I think when people say God is good all the time God is good, I say,
right.
well, why did he make tigers and why did he make meat eaters then? You know what I'm saying? Like
Exactly.
like if
Why
you
are you
created
talking
a system, like why would you create a system where things have to sustain off of other things? You know what I'm saying? So like,
You
yeah,
know why?
but
You know why,
why?
right? Because of the
No.
balance. You would not know good if you didn't have bad. You'd just think it was a thing. Like you just think this is you'd have literally no reference point for what's good if you didn't have bad, something equally as
Yeah,
bad.
but that's not what I'm talking about. What I
Well,
mean
that's
is,
what I mean.
huh?
Isn't that good? Isn't
Yeah,
it
I mean,
though?
I understand that this is a duality matrix and there's no up without down and no left without right
Right.
and no good without bad, right? No light without dark. But it also begs the question, is light and dark the same coin? See, a lot of what's going on right now in the zeitgeist of the country is this theory that we're moving from dark to light. You've heard this theory, right?
Of course.
Now, does this mean that we're just moving to the other side of the coin, but it's the same coin?
Well,
Do
that's
the
why,
same forces control both light and dark?
right,
And should we be trying to move away from either paradigm, away from the
right.
duality of it?
To what?
What do you mean to what?
Move away from either side to what?
Universal love has no duality, baby.
No, I feel that, but I feel like
Yeah,
then in
universal love
universal
got no
love,
duality. Ain't no
you're talking
duality
about a
about it.
utopian, like a
Huh?
utopian existence, because with that, there's no balance. Like there's no. I just think
No,
there's.
see, I disagree. Look. No. Nah. Okay, stop. All right.
I'm just talking it through.
No,
I'm
I
not
hear
saying
you.
this is my belief system.
Stop. I know, but I hear you. But listen, there are conflicts that will arise anyway. There are relationships that end. There are people that disagree. There are conflicts. You're thinking that by your logic, the absence of
Not my logic. That's not my
huh?
logic. Like I said, I'm just talking it through. I don't
And
have
I
a.
know, but I see what you're saying. But I'm just saying, like that can't happen. There's always going to be, a challenge. There's going to be a house that burns down and somebody dies. There's going to be loss. There will always be
That's horrible.
challenges to
Yeah.
overcome.
I hear what you're saying. Like these extreme highs and lows are, I mean, dark and light are just, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I feel like
But
it's like
what I
it's
what I
red and blue.
what
You
I
know,
what I mean more important more precisely rather is the same way that you look at Republicans and Democrats as two sides of the same
exactly.
coin is
Yeah,
dark and light two sides of the same coin. And we should be
I get what you're
removing
saying
ourselves
exactly.
from
Yeah.
all of it, right? Like,
Well,
nah,
see,
no, we
there's
can
like
do this duality.
factions. You know, like
Huh?
there's the New Age light faction that's like let go and let God and just be and don't, and that to me is clearly not for. I don't believe that that's for the people. For me, it's very clear. Like that's not the way to the light. It feels like exactly the same as somebody indoctrinating you into a satanic kind of, you know, ritualistic. It feels like a cult, you know, a cult.
Yeah, I don't know what you gotta. You keep using a lot of
Like,
pronouns. So, like, I don't know what you mean when you say it. What feels like a cult?
oh, I said the New Age movement, like the New Age movement that's all love and light, only love and light. Just let go and let God. Just trust,
Okay,
this
so
and
that
that.
feels like, yeah, we'll see, all like for me, every different narrative sort of feels like something that you have to subscribe to. So I just try to not to try to understand and listen to different narratives, but not subscribe to them.
Because
But
there's stuff you can get from each side. Yeah.
right, but what I'm asking though, what I'm trying to focus in on is whether or not dark and light are two sides of the same thing, and
Right.
we should be avoiding both of them,
Well,
or
what I'm
or
saying,
encompassing both of them in a way
right.
that sort of like, when you go all love and light, then you don't acknowledge the fact that you have the capacity for evil and the capacity for
Mhm,
violence, right? So
mhm,
maybe the you have to accept that part of yourself too. Maybe
right.
it's just not. Lucifer in the Bible is often referred to as the light. He's the
Right.
light bearer. So
Right.
going into the light,
Right.
is I hear what you're saying as far as like it could be satanic going into that thing. So what I'm just trying to say, like, maybe, yeah, maybe all of it should just,
It's
no dark to
yeah.
light.
It's love. You
It's
have to
all
just
one
all you do
thing.
is don't hurt people and love like just
Well,
love. Like
but it's all one thing is what I mean. It's all
yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying. I get exactly what you're saying. And I agree. I'm not saying it right, but what I'm saying is that you and maybe I'm not saying it like saying the exact same thing as you, but I agree. Like first of all, if one can't exist without the other, it lends itself to a certain reason that they are each one can be taken and used as, I mean, maybe not even used, but just exists as an extreme that is not balanced. And you're all light or you're all dark, there's something that's just wrong fundamentally.
yeah,
That I
right.
mean,
There has to be a balance.
yeah, there has to be a balance. You have
So
to know.
just like
Like
if you're all
you have
Democrat or all Republican, right? You're
It's
gonna miss out on
ridiculous.
some.
That's where you find
Just
the red flags. My biggest red flags are like, oh God, you don't see what you're doing right now. Like that's why, like I really just to speak on the Republican Democrat thing, like I really when I started seeing things in a clearer light and I started thinking maybe Trump is onto something, I had to check myself quickly because I was like, there's no saviors, there's not this one, but where we go one, we go all. And I started seeing like the cult aspects of like, what that people would call a Trumper. Like, I'm not saying that those people are all bad or these people are all good. I'm just saying that there's a red flag for me there because there's no such thing without balance. The whole universe is supposed to be harmonious.
Yeah, there's definitely balance to the universe. I believe that, and I believe that things are not linear, they're cyclical, right? Things don't just begin and end, they go in cycles. So I'm with that.
And they
I
don't
forget.
go backwards.
Huh? They don't go
backwards.
backwards?
The
What do you
cycles.
mean?
It was just something that I had asked somebody that is very knowledgeable, and it was just a crazy thought that came to my head. But yeah, they don't go backwards. We're always supposed to be moving forward.
Yeah,
And
cycles don't go backwards, do they?
no.
Yeah, that's I guess yeah. It's
But you see
interesting to
how
think about
like
it that
some
way.
sides will try to kind of bring you back. They bring you back. They release the old movies and they release old, like they keep redoing stuff and kind of try to bring people back into a certain mind state. It's like it doesn't work that way.
Well,
You need
that's why there are so many remakes in television and movies and things like that to
right.
keep you back in that same mind state to bring you back. That's why they keep making Jurassic Parks and remaking old movies and stuff like that to keep you back where you were.
Right.
Where did this one start off? What were we doing on this one?
We were talking about the Sam J and the space and being off the block and not.
Oh,
I
just
mean,
not
being able
thinking
to
big
breathe.
enough. Not
What'd you
thinking
say?
big enough. Not thinking big enough.
Exactly. Not thinking. Not exactly. You're confined within your own mind, really.
Well, I mean, it encompasses
Thinking-
everything that we talked about because if we thought bigger, then these poor communities would plant gardens in their own backyards and stop going to the grocery store, keep that money in their pockets, right? If we thought bigger, then maybe some of them would be dreaming about going to Mars instead of getting the ceiling, like old boy was talking about, right?
Exactly. Well, it was a
So,
girl though. She's a woman, but yeah.
okay.
She's funny though. I really like her. Because she dumbs her comedy down a little, but you know that she's saying some shit. Like you're like,
Yeah.
I
I thought she called herself a guy, so I was just
She
trying to
said
be
that, yeah, the dude was like, she talks about her girlfriend the whole time, but I'm just saying she is a woman,
okay.
definitely.
All right, yeah. I was just
What
trying
is
to
a woman?
keep in line with what they were saying. Never mind.
I know, right? Because what is a woman? Like,
Well, I don't know why I'm trying to be politically correct anyway. You know what I'm saying?
I
Because
know,
I
right?
don't really give a fuck, right? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
exactly. I don't care
why am
because
I
when you
tap
make it about
dancing?
that, you're focusing
Right.
on the wrong shit. Like, it's not about
Right.
that. It's such a narcissistic, weird state of mind. Like, why are we talking about you again? Like, I can't believe it. Like, come on, y'all. Yeah, it's weird.
I wonder what you do to start planting the seed like that. Like, because like two steps like that, like the two steps, if let's just say the poor black community just started planting their own food and turn off the psycho music. I mean, I would think in like 15 years, you would see a black renaissance like you had never seen before.
You know what?
And I don't mean that it would be anybody, right? You could do it in white neighborhoods,
Oh
Asian
yeah, of
neighborhood, right?
course, of
If
course.
anybody did it, right? You could do it in a neighborhood that's just a neighborhood, mixed
It would
neighborhood,
be
right?
the
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? But like,
exactly. It would
but
be the
if they were
same
to,
effect, like the same effect as flooding the neighborhood with heroin. What happened to it would be the opposite side of that. Like you flood the neighborhood with
ooh, it's
amazing.
given the same effect as having everyone come and attend a World's Fair.
Ah, interesting.
Ah.
Indoctrination through. I mean, it sets you on it. That's what I was
Ah.
going to say, though. That's what I was going to say. So it's deeper than just, going and teaching people how to farm and showing them the way, because what happened is that they instilled something that lacks self-worth and self-love. They instilled a self-hatred for self and community that is so much deeper. And so it doesn't matter if you're giving them good food. It doesn't, they're just like, why the fuck I gotta eat that? Like, why I want it? They'll keep eating Skittles even though it's giving people brain damage. They don't give a fuck. And that's the thing. And they've instilled that so deeply into our communities. It makes me want to cry. So sad. You see it. I mean, you can see it. And I just don't hate them. I just think they're worth saving. Everybody is. Ugh, sad.
Well, yeah, but we got to save ourselves first.
Oh yeah, you can't help anybody else. I ran into this kid. Oh God, I just moved. I didn't see him, and I pulled in front of him at the gas station. He was like, "Bitch!" He just started going off on me and pulled out a gun and was like, bitch, I just got out of prison. Bitch, I'll shoot you like for a parking space, you know? And I could feel in my every fiber of my being that if I just hugged him right now, he would just break down and cry. Like he would just break, you know, but he was so, I was like, take your gas pump, little nigga. Like whatever, you know. But it hurt my heart so bad because he was so disconnected from source, basically from love,
Yeah.
from everything. It had
Yeah.
been taken from him. They come for your mother, they come for your everything, and it's fucked up. So
Yeah, the mind fuck is something terrible. I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean,
that's why, yeah. That's why I always say it doesn't necessarily matter whether or not we were slaves, because we were told we were. And in a mind war, that's how you lose.
that's what matters. Yeah. And that's like we were talking about with these world fairs and how they started rewriting history about that time.
Exactly. And you're
How
showing
they
the whole
started like
world.
changing shit up. Yeah. Because we were on a trajectory, and suddenly
Yeah. And I
suddenly
think
we
people have to break through every now and then, but if your mind's so fucked that you can't see it, then what do you do with that, you know?
mm,
I mean, we do our part, I
I guess.
guess. It's
I don't know. I don't know nothing. I don't know anything. I just, I don't know. I don't
you
know.
know a lot. You know a lot. And you were, like you said, you were shown something different. And
Had it
I
not
don't
been
know.
for that, I would be an entirely different person,
Right.
you know? And
Very smart.
I think, that's what, you could actually see it manifest when you see some rappers like how Ice Cube, when he did Death Certificate versus, when he's what he's doing now
Mhm.
is different based on what he's seen.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
he's
that's why
doing
like music, like rap music especially lacks that hunger, when it's like, oh, I don't like him anymore because he ain't hungry no more. And it's
yeah,
like,
after they've been around the
good.
world
He
and
should be
yeah,
hungry.
after they got
Yeah.
something to lose,
Let
right?
that
You
man
know what I'm saying?
live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
But
can
then
see
they're
it.
these freaking soul contracts with the labels, and they have to keep producing music that sucks because they're not feeling it. And then, you know, and then your legacy is all tarnished and whatnot. It sucks. It's a weird trap. It's a really weird trap. It's on purpose though, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's called a trap.
Exactly.
Ain't no accidental
The
traps.
neighborhood you live in is called the trap, and you don't see anything wrong with, like, you don't see what's being done here. Like, who started that?
Do you think that they manipulate language the same way too? Do you think they allowed the word trap to become associated with how they live that way?
Absolutely.
Do you think they
Absolutely.
do that?
Yeah,
Manipulate
because
language?
who came up with that? I mean, we used to, when did crack house become trap house?
Yeah, I know, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Where was that moment? I don't know. Somebody
Oh
dropped it in
man.
the
I want to show you something now. Oh my goodness. Let's see if I have it.
I make my nephew's shirt because I can make t-shirts here because I love t-shirts that make a statement, and I have a heat press and a sublimation printer and stuff. And so I'll make them shirts with, I gave my nephew a shirt that said trap, and it had the definition of trap. And I was like, just a reminder, because you out there in the streets calling it a trap, this is what a trap is. This is the definition of trap. You got to keep your mind clear. It's not a good thing. You don't celebrate being in the trap. You don't sing
Right?
about it. You don't, none of that stuff. Well, who does that? Who does that?
I know, right?
Trap, bro. It's crazy. Yeah. I love stuff like this. It's so interesting.
So, what do I mean by the secret spells of the English language? Well, let me share with you what I call our premier life sentence. And it goes something like this: we awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn the living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And this seems perfectly acceptable to most people. However, more people die between 6 and 9 on a Monday morning than any other time of the week. So I do what I call a translation of the English language, and I spell that Trance, with the idea that words cast spells. So when you translate that life sentence, you remember that awake is a funeral party for the dead. Mourning is the state you're in when you attend a wake. And you would have to be in a weak daze to earn the living, since urns are for the ashes of the dead. We call our jobs undertakings. Job itself is a Hebrew word for persecuted. And what we get at the end of this perverse bargain with life is the weak end of the deal as we become progressively weakened ourselves. And so our most prevalent greeting to each other is hello, the reverse of which is, oh, hell. And at first, I suspected the hands of collusion entangling the language to foster illusion. And I think it's quite true that a culture's theology has a great deal to do with a word's etymology and how it evolves over time to combine incompatible meanings that may undermine the original thoughts it was meant to define. But now, I don't think it's planned, for the thing that I've found is that like concepts can gravitate toward the same sound and vibrate at the rate that our thoughts designate.
That's like the water test,
because
right?
Words are electromagnetic vibrations whose fine alphabetic tintinnabulations can take on the tint of our true expectations, which they then imprint on our metal of mind, causing sounds to adhere when they're of the same kind.
Now, forgive me for saying this, but that was hip hop.
Did you hear me? I said she has bars.
Right. This is what I'm saying. That was like straight hip hop.
That was bars. I want to send that to my son. It's so good with that. He's a wordsmith for sure, but he gets drawn into this other, he doesn't like do gangster rap, but this like he's doing this kind of like metal, like rap metal, and it's just as dark and there's just as much red and black and oozy stuff. It's just yeah. But he's purple.
Mm-hmm.
We know that he's purple. He's very purple. But no, and then there's another one. Because
but that was cool what she was saying though, right?
So dope and so right.
Yeah. And how she said that our words cast spells. Indeed. Indeed they do.
Spelling.
Right. Yep. There you go.
It makes you understand, because there's only so much things there's so many things that people can call a coincidence. These are not coincidences. These are literally built into our languages, literally, not figuratively. And then they start diminishing like the words that are meaningful, and they change them in front of our eyes. I can't believe that
they give us words to like, or they give us words like they give us
bless you
inverted words.
Yes. Inverted.
Right? So like, Superman, the movie, right? He's like, that's a bad outfit, right? You know what I'm saying? Bad meaning good. You know what I'm saying, right?
Shock. Yeah, exactly. Shock G used to say, he had a song where he was like, don't hold me down, hold me up. Like, because that's what people say. I'm gonna hold you down. I got you. And it's like, don't hold me down.
Hold me up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So words, I think they play a larger part in the scheme of everyday things than we have any real idea. They created this language. Somebody created this language.
The Venetians.
No, English. They created English. American modern day English.
Everywhere. Yes.
No, Phoenicians created their language.
No, they came here.
English. No, modern day English has not been spoken for more than 100 years.
No, I understand that, but it was put in place purposefully. My understanding is, what I've learned is that it was put in place purposely by the same folks that the Venetians. I mean, it went Phoenician. I gotta remember it, because you should look it up though. I think you'll find it very interesting to see how it was put in place and why it's different here than it is in Australia, than it is in New Zealand. But it's still, we're speaking English, but it's just very interesting. These traveling groups of people that took over. It's interesting.
It's maybe something I'm not familiar with, so maybe something that you got to hit me with on the.
Okay, I will. But
on a think about episode, huh?
Think about legalese. Legalese. None of us speak that. I think 5% of all people, and even the people that are lawyers, they understand that things are different. It's a double speak kind of thing, but they don't really know what they're saying or what these laws attached to it are. And around the world, that language is cohesive. Like in our parliament is like our courts is like these laws and stuff like that and codes. And
yeah, they in international courts and things like that, they know how to speak legalese. Yes,
exactly, and they can speak to each other, and we have the same legal systems throughout the world. There's a little bit of difference here and there, but around the world, and that should tell us something. Like, how did that happen? If we're like sovereign nations or whatever, how does that happen? It's
So yeah, you saying they gave us this language on purpose?
exactly, and legalese
Well, you
for
know, it was
our laws
created.
to be in a language that we
Well,
don't speak.
it was created. Like I said, this language was created and given to us, and so I don't know, how. It's a lot of this is above my sort of pay grade or whatever. I don't really quite,
No
if
more
you got
than you need on.
right.
She said she would buy the gold ceiling that Master B had on cribs. That's so real. Like she's being funny, but she's being real. Like that is how people think. Like they're just like they're really still, waiting for the next Nikes. And the world is like moving to space. It's crazy. You know what's weird though? This is kind of conspiratorial. I don't know the word.
Conspiratorial.
Anyway, it's conspiratorial.
There you go.
Is I know my word.
I'm just here to provide support. That's all.
A lot of thank you. At the feeding the homeless, that whatever weekend that was, a young man who spent 14 years of his life on heroin, and he got clean, and now he helps other youth, and he also is studying linguistics, and he just started going in on stuff that we, me and and the kids even know, some of the stuff, but a lot of people don't, and I was so happy to see him, clean, and he looked so healthy, and he knew his shit. It was really great.
Yeah, you didn't even you're on one today. I'm gonna let you know that. I don't know.
That way?
No, not in a bad way.
But I'm really tired. We had a long weekend. We had some family breakthrough stuff with my mom. She let me take the mask off and come inside. It was good. And we went to an unveiling of a Shock G thing. I'll send you the picture.
Okay, for sure.
It's an emotional weekend. Long, yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, sorry if I talked over your presentation.